Welcome everyone, this is Andre's Restart, and today we are talking about Metroid Prime 4 possibly being shown off for the first time, like actual gameplay, next month as a part of a Nintendo Switch 2 reveal trailer or event of some kind. And the reason we're talking about this today is because there's a lot of expectations that we might see Metroid finally shown off to some capacity or some type of Metroid announcement, be it for Metroid Prime 4 footage or a Metroid Prime 2 Remastered shadow drop. Something like this Metroid fans were hoping to see during a direct this month, but now that the cat's out of the bag, that many are starting to think that a partner showcase is going to be the direct for this month, many are losing hope that Metroid will be shown off this month. And so if Metroid's not going to be shown off this month, when is the next time that it makes sense to see Metroid Prime 4 and maybe get other Metroid related announcements? Well, there's a couple different possibilities for these different Metroid Prime games, and that's what I would like to talk about today. Before going forward though, let me remind you all that we are still aiming to reach 50,000 subscribers, perhaps by the time Nintendo Switch 2 comes out. So if you do enjoy my content, please subscribe and hit the notification bell, and enjoy the ride as we talk about Nintendo every day. So I don't want to spend too much time talking about a partner showcase because, well, this is my expectation at this point. I hope it's something more. But as we've discussed in several videos over the last week or so, it's looking like a partner showcase may be indeed what we're going to get. So if this is the case, what is going on with Metroid? Well, because a partner showcase would be the type of event that would be meant to showcase third-party partner projects, this would mean that Nintendo games are less likely to be shown here. So any first-party projects, not going to happen. However, it is possible that if Nintendo is collaborating with a third-party partner, this could show up in the partner showcase. For example, we've seen Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity in a partner showcase before. That is a Musou game, a warrior-style game, but using the likeness of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And so that is a Nintendo game. And then also we've seen Mario Rabbids, for example. It has Rabbids, but also Mario Universe characters. That is also arguably a Nintendo game, but they are Nintendo games made by third-party partners. So it is conceivable that if there's some type of Metroid project that's being made by a third-party partner, this could show up in a partner showcase. So for example, let's say that it's finally time to showcase the next 2D Metroid game, the follow-up to Metroid Dread, Metroid 6. Because Mercury Steam, a non-Nintendo developer, is the team behind Metroid Dread and also likely the next Metroid, I would say, that's the kind of game that in theory could be in a partner showcase. However, I think it's too soon for 2D Metroid. As many of you are probably thinking, it's time for the Metroid Prime series, which is the 3D Metroid games. So for those that get confused about the Metroid numberings, right, I mentioned Metroid 6. Metroid 6 is the 6th 2D Metroid game. The Metroid Prime games, they exist within the timeline of the 2D Metroid games, but they are also their own thing. So when we talk about Metroid Prime 4, that's not to confuse it with Metroid 4. Metroid 4 came out back in 2002. That's called Metroid Fusion. It was a Game Boy Advance game. Point is though, there has been this expectation that we're supposed to get Metroid Prime news soon. Jeff Grubb last year said that he heard that Metroid Prime 2 should be shown soon. Now, what does soon mean? Soon is a very relative term, and it's hard to put any sort of specific details on that, but you would think after having already gone past the September Direct with no Metroid announcement, and now we're in February, that we gotta be getting close. And so what's interesting about this is that Metroid Prime Remastered was actually, yes, made by Retro Studios, but there were a number of other third-party partners that helped to finish up the project. There was a lot of co-development there, including Iron Galaxy Studios. So conceivably, we could see perhaps Metroid Prime 2 or 3 announced during a partner showcase because they're being made by a third-party partner. Now, I would like to emphasize that the expectation for Metroid Prime 2 and 3, especially if it's not being made by Retro Studios, is that it would be something lesser. It wouldn't be as big of a remaster as Metroid Prime 1, something more simple. The partner showcase, according to Universal Nintendo, or at least they didn't report a partner showcase, but that we'll be getting a direct on February 15th, which is a Thursday, the day before the the release of Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Putting out a presentation the day before the release of a Nintendo game takes away from the likeliness of us getting a shadow drop Nintendo game. And so Metroid Prime 1 Remastered was shadow dropped last year to start the year during a Direct, and so we were able to play it the same day that Direct came out. I don't see that happening for Metroid Prime 2, even if it is being made by a third-party partner, and it somehow is a part of this partner showcase, because Mario vs. Donkey Kong, another Nintendo game, is coming out hours after the supposed debut of this partner showcase. So I don't think that's what's going to happen here. And truth be told, because it's a partner showcase, the possibility of Metroid Prime 4 being shown during this event is basically 0%. And because of that, Nintendo may not even feel the need to make mention of Metroid during this partner showcase. But also, something else to consider here is that if the Metroid Prime 2 and 3 aren't going to be getting the big boy remastered treatments, they may want to bundle them together or have them come out closer to each other as some sort of discount deal instead, to sort of make up for the fact that it's not getting this big boy remastered treatment. And what's interesting about this is that we've seen Nintendo do something like this before. So in the lead up to Pikmin 4, there was a few different things that happened. A couple years beforehand, we got Pikmin 3 Deluxe, for example. That was an enhancement of Pikmin 3, done in different ways, but not too different from the enhancement we saw for Metroid Prime 1. However, in comparison to Pikmin 1 and 2, those games came out together for a discount deal just a few weeks before the release of Pikmin 4. And so I kind of see a scenario here where perhaps Metroid Prime 2 and 3 would be announced later in the year, coming out not too long before Metroid Prime 4, and are meant to just drew up a little bit more hype, take advantage of the Metroid Prime 4 train to pick up a few more sales, and they would come out together, be more basic remasters, very similar to Pikmin 1 and 2. And so I don't think Metroid Prime 4 is coming out that soon. A pretty good amount of confidence that the game is coming out sometime in the second half of this year. And so if that's the case, very similar to Pikmin 4 last year, we could see Prime 2 and 3 be announced shortly before the release of Metroid Prime 4. So while I hope we see something Metroid related next week, I don't think it's likely. However, with a partner showcase happening next week, if this is indeed the case, that strongly suggests that Nintendo is wrapping things up with Switch, and a Switch 2 reveal should be coming soon. And my prediction has been by the end of the fiscal year that we see a Switch 2 reveal. Others have been saying very similar things for a while now. I think this is when it's going to happen. I could be wrong, but it's just what I think is going to happen. And so if this is indeed the case, perhaps this is when we finally see Metroid Prime 4. Now, I'm not necessarily expecting a big presentation in March. I would love to see a big presentation, but based off how Nintendo handled the Switch, they first gave us a trailer, a really cool trailer, and then a couple months later they gave us a big presentation, and then like 6 weeks after that, the system came out. And so I'm personally expecting a similar 4.5 month window between reveal and release for Nintendo Switch 2. And so I think a bigger presentation is more likely to happen when we usually see them around the June time of the year. However, putting out a teaser trailer so we have an idea of what's to come in the second half of the year when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2 is very conceivable, I would say. And very similar to that first Switch 1 teaser that showcased several key titles that were coming out in that launch window for Nintendo Switch, or that first 9 months to a year, I could see Metroid Prime 4 very easily being a part of this Switch 2 teaser event. Now, the one thing that gets me here is that I think I would like to see a bigger showcase of Metroid Prime 4 from the get-go, but when I think about it, the Switch 1 teaser was the first time we saw Super Mario Odyssey. And so there's definitely precedent for Nintendo showcasing a big game in a teaser. And for the record, this is also when I expect we'll see 3D Mario. Now, in the past, I've made the argument that maybe Nintendo wants to showcase these games at separate times. However, the Switch 1 teaser showcased more than just Super Mario Odyssey for the first time. We had already known about Breath of the Wild, and that was part of the teaser, but they also showcased other things, like Mario Kart on the Switch, and a new Splatoon game, which is pretty darn big. And there were other noteworthy announcements as well, like Skyrim and NBA 2K. So the Switch 2 teaser is going to include a variety of games, likely some big third-party ones that will catch our eye, and also several key Nintendo titles a part of that first big initial wave for the system. And I do think that Metroid Prime 4 is likely going to be a part of that first big wave for Nintendo Switch 2. I'm not saying it won't come out for Switch 1, I think it will. I think it's a cross-gen title. Very similar to Breath of the Wild, very similar to Twilight Princess. And so similar to how Nintendo showcased a cross-gen title as a part of the Switch 1 teaser, perhaps we see that as well for Switch 2. Now, what do we actually see of this trailer? That's gonna be interesting, because obviously there's a lot of possibilities. I'm operating on the assumption it's just a teaser. It could be maybe a slightly bigger event, maybe a shorter style direct that showcases several things. But with the assumption it's just a teaser, I'm assuming we don't even get 60 seconds of footage, but just enough to get us really excited. I would imagine we would see some actual gameplay. And so we'll get some perspective on the scope of this game. We'll get some perspective on the visual identity of this game. We may see a mechanic or two that we're going to be speculating on for the next few months. And perhaps there'll even be some sort of hint to the story as well. All of this can be accomplished in a few short clips as a part of a bigger trailer for a new system. It's certainly possible Nintendo may wait even longer to show us Metroid Prime 4, maybe because they don't want Mario to overshadow Metroid. They won't even show Prime 4 in the Switch 2 reveal event, which would definitely be a head scratcher for me. But if maybe they save Metroid Prime 4 for a big summer showcase, then does it really matter if the game still comes out this year? No, it doesn't. It wouldn't be great for our personal peace of mind, but it definitely wouldn't make a difference in terms of overall results at the end of the day. And actually, well, I take that back. It might make a difference in the case for Metroid Prime 4 performing better, because then maybe Nintendo can give it its own special moment. I'm not saying this is necessarily the case, I'm simply bringing up possibilities here. I do think Metroid Prime 4 is close. As we reported early last year, the game is in a late stage of development, nearing completion. And as we saw earlier this year, as observed by Super Metal Day 64, they've had QA testers on the game since March of 2023, implying that the game has been very close to completion since early last year, as reported. So at any point, Nintendo could show this game off. And I'm optimistic that even though it doesn't look like we'll see it this month of February, next month in March, we might see it as a part of a big Switch 2 reveal. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. This is Andres Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.